Hello, ladies. Welcome back to the Mindset to Manifest podcast. This is episode 3, and it is all about desire. Before we get into today's content, I do want to thank you all for being here today and sharing this space with me. In the coming year, I have a lot of changes that I am implementing because I feel aligned in a new way as I step into this new version of myself, and that is what has inspired this episode on desire. So desire, in my perspective, is something that is God-given. I believe desires don't just emerge from nowhere for no reason. And unlike a passing fancy or some frivolous wants, desire tends to be deeper. And I believe it's usually related to our soul's purpose in some way, although in the moment we may not be able to see or recognize how exactly it is related to our purpose here. When it comes to desire, the main difference between a desire and a want, or a passing fancy, like I mentioned, is that a desire is something you really cannot let go of. You may outgrow a desire as you shift and evolve, but it's not something that you can just walk away from. When I first started coaching, I had this itch. It was an itch to help. It was this need, this calling coming from within me that inspired me to search for ways I could be of service to others. So I first began being a support system or support person for my closest friends and family. I was able to offer them advice and guidance, a shoulder to cry on, someone to empathize with, as well as just holding space when they needed a place to grieve and be vulnerable. This showed me that not only did I have this longing to help people, but I actually had the skill set and the temperament to be able to hold that space for others. This, of course, turned into the desire to coach. Now, I had never really considered coaching before. I kind of overlooked my natural gifts and talents. So in the beginning, I felt a bit of resistance. But no matter what I did, I couldn't ignore this itch, right? This urge to, at the very least, look into what coaching might look like, what teaching might look like, or public speaking, or writing, or sharing my thoughts and ideas, or all the various ways that in the entrepreneurial space one can be a servant of their community. And as the months went on, the desire grew stronger and stronger. And coincidentally, so did my faith at the time. When I first started to dabble in coaching, that was the middle of a really grand spiritual awakening for me. And it's very synchronistic in hindsight how I see that the deeper I connected with Source, with God, and the more that I got to know myself, my core self, my true self, the stronger this desire became. And it got to the point where I could no longer ignore this bubbling passion inside of me that was begging me practically to serve in some way and to use my natural skills, gifts, and abilities to help other women. So that is something that desire brings about in you, is there's this feeling of, I can't stop this urge. I can't stop wanting this thing. Now, when it comes to a smaller want, right, this could be like a food craving. Okay, yes, maybe I'm craving pizza, but I'm not going to die without it. And in fact, if I were to, let's say, have some pasta, which has some of the same type of ingredients and flavors, that might scratch the itch, and now I won't want pizza anymore. But a desire is something where you know that it can only be one thing that fulfills you. If you have, again, like myself, I had a desire to help others and to use my gift of gab, my ability to speak, and my ability to understand complex topics and convey them in a way that most people can understand. as well as my empathy and compassion for others and my desire to help women, it was really a no-brainer for me. Now, some of you listening to this, you are talented in the arts. Maybe you are a photographer and you just feel so inspired and fulfilled when you capture a moment in time with your photography. Maybe you are an artist and you work with your hands. Maybe you work with clay or some type of physical medium where you can alter the formation of this material and create something beautiful from it. And it satisfies you to agree that nothing else on this world satisfies you. Maybe some of you are more analytical and really appreciate the expert use of critical thinking in order to achieve goals or persuade people. Some of you may be lawyers or politicians, or you aspire to be a lawyer or a politician because you feel this alignment between your soul's calling to help a particular group of people, as well as recognizing the aptitude within yourself to accomplish said task. Now, again, this is the biggest difference is I've considered a lot of careers in my life. For those of you who don't know, I have left college 3 times, and this is because I couldn't decide on what to major in. Nothing really felt right. No career path stemming from any particular degree program was calling me. Everything that I knew I wanted to do didn't require me to continue with college, so I only took the classes I was most interested in. I took classes on nutrition. I took English classes, I took statistics, I took psychology, and marketing and business classes. So all of those are within my realm of special interests. I love how the human body and the health of the human body relates to our brain chemistry and how there is a symbiotic relationship between our gut and brain health. I love human behavior and understanding how the brain works both on a physical and psychological level, and how we make decisions based on biases and cultural norms and the differences between the expression of our genders. And I, of course, love spirituality and philosophy. So being able to study that has been a privilege, and taking the business classes really helped me to be able to pursue a career and really to create my own business so that I could show up in the world the way I authentically desired to. All of that is to say, it is common for us, especially in youth, to have this uncertainty about what the future holds and where we're going. And the more we connect with ourselves and the more we connect with our spirituality, the more apparent desire becomes. From, 17 when I graduated high school until about 24 when I started my first business coaching, I went through many cycles and explored many options. I thought about being a nutritionist. I thought about becoming a therapist or social worker. I thought about becoming a teacher or professor. I thought about a lot of different career paths, marketing and advertisement. I thought about even becoming a intra-organizational psychologist, which is just a really complicated way of saying you are practicing psychology in the business space to help organizations become more efficient and work together to achieve the goal of the organization. But none of these felt right. None of these truly scratched the itch for me. None of these truly felt like my soul's calling. They all left me feeling like there was something missing. And so when it became difficult, when there was friction, it was much easier to quit than to persist. Now, when you truly desire something, you will persist in the face of failure like it's breathing, like you don't even choose to do it. You just automatically do it. And it's okay if you're it's okay if you're listening to this episode and you don't yet know what your true desire is or what your purpose is, it's okay. It will find you. It will find you when you're ready. And my belief is that God gives us our desires. I believe He will put that seed in us when we are ready to cultivate it. I believe He will take that desire and reveal it to us at the right time, at the right place, before we feel quite ready or worthy of having the outcome of that desire. I think purposefully that seed is planted before we see ourselves as ready, so that we become the version of ourselves that is ready and that is worthy of receiving or reaping the benefits of what fostering that seed will bring to you. So I've obviously been in business a couple years now. I did have some personal circumstances come up that prevented me from continuing with my business for a period of time, but I have been back in business for over a year now, and the way things are going, I feel so inspired and motivated and grateful above all else that I am able to be a guiding light for people. I really love that all of the lessons that I've had to learn the hard way have now become content for me to leverage and open other women up to the possibility that lies within them. And this is very much my soul's calling. This is deeply, deeply, deeply connected to this desire I have to serve women in this way. And even the desire to help women specifically, I didn't choose that. It just felt natural. When I started to look into what it would take to start an online business, I connected with other women, and I also connected in co-ed types of environments where there were men and women there. And ultimately, it just felt more right for me personally to show up and serve women. And from there, it also felt right to show up and serve women who were struggling with self-doubt and low confidence and struggling to feel valued and appreciated in society. I do, as of today, consider myself a confidence and success coach, which means I address feelings of unworthiness. I help you to navigate uncertainty within yourself. I help you to connect with yourself, especially if you have gone through trauma. I am a certified trauma-informed coach, and basically my certificate really is just about sharing with you, giving you the confidence that I am informed about trauma. However, I'm also a trauma survivor. So not only have I studied trauma and I am certified to speak on on subject matters related to trauma, I've also lived it. And I believe that my lived experience contributed to why I have such a strong desire to help and serve in this way. So again, when you are ready, when you have reached a point in your soul's evolution that God sees you as the perfect soil for your desire to be planted in, He will plant it in you. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to do ikigai or ask yourself a million questions about what is my purpose. Your purpose will find you. And the more deeply you connect with yourself and lean into your intuition, and the more close you grow with your higher power, whether you are a Muslim and call it Allah, or you are Christian or whatever other religion and call it God, or if you just call it your source, your higher power, universe, I'm a very open-minded person, and the way that I teach for people who come from all religions, all races, all backgrounds. I don't believe that I'm doing my true purpose in the world if I limit myself only speaking to Muslim women and limiting my language to cater to the Muslim community. I am so inspired by people who come from all these different walks of life. And this is how I know your purpose will find you, is I've worked with many women who felt lost, and the reason they felt lost is they were disconnected from themselves. They had lost faith in God, in their higher power, they began to distrust that the process was working for them, this process of life, this journey of life. They began to question whether they would ever be worthy of succeeding in anything, let alone fulfilling their soul's calling or even just discovering it. And it really saddens me that I've encountered so many women who are just so afraid. And I think that's why we get lost, is we're afraid to take the risk of betting on ourselves. But when you have a desire, the risk feels small. And I say this as someone who has failed in business enough times, and I have all the logical reasons in the world to quit. I have all the logical reasons in the world to not pursue my desire, to choose the quote-unquote safe job, to choose to go back to school and be like quote-unquote everybody else. But when I tried to do that, when I tried to do what society expected of me, it burned me alive. I was miserable. It was torture. It was painful. It was stressful. It was frustrating. And I would take the pain of entrepreneurship and the stress and uncertainty of being self-reliant on my income any day over trying to just fit into the status quo or satisfy what my parents think I should do or do what society tells me is the only path to success, when in my heart, deep in my soul, I know that that is not the way I have been led and guided. So I highly encourage you, after listening to today's episode, to take some time in meditation. And I want you to just sit with yourself and get to know your core self. Who are you as a person? What are your qualities? Do you really enjoy speaking and connecting with others? Do you like to teach with your hands and lead by example? Do you like to create? Are you artistic? Do you have an aptitude for sports or music maybe? Who are you at your core, and what lights you up? What makes you feel so good while you're doing it? That's one thing that I noticed with being there for my friends and taking my first few coaching clients. I really enjoyed, in the moment, speaking life into these women. I really enjoyed the process of showing up as a safe person and as an authority figure, and these women trusting me with their most vulnerable circumstances and emotions, and being able to hold space for them and extend love and compassion for them, as well as give them tools and strategies to help them figure out how to navigate whatever difficulty they were going through. And the more I did it, the better I felt. And again, it was like this itch that was finally being scratched in the right way. And ever since then, I have been exploring new ways to show up for people. How can I help more people? If you watch my main channel, you will know I am on a mission to help 1 million women become their most confident and successful selves. And this doesn't stop at law of attraction or law of assumption or manifestation or spirituality. I am on a mission to help 1 million women become their most confident and successful selves in any way I feel called to. So as of today, when I record this episode, I am a podcaster. I am a YouTube influencer. I am a spiritual teacher and a manifestation guide. I create courses that help women to discover their limiting beliefs and narratives they've carried in their childhood. I help women unlock their trauma stories and heal their trauma, release their trauma by accepting themselves fully and holding space for who they are and allowing themselves the permission to grow from there and pursue their desires. So I am a woman of many hats, of many talents, of many passions, and I will never stop being this way because it's part of who I am. the beauty of desire is it does evolve with you. And so what I've learned in these few years of coaching and growing a business is there are things I love about growing a business, there are things I love about being in the public eye and creating community, and there are things I really don't like about it. But the main thing I love is that this desire has opened the door of opportunity for me to become a better version of myself. I devote my spare time and my off time when I'm not actively showing up in business to educating myself. I spend several hours a day studying manifestation content and psychology, learning about human behavior and even biology. I love to explore the mind-body connection and deepen my understanding of my niche, which is combining spiritual and practical guidance, so that I'm offering multiple perspectives to really get this information to stick, because this information, understanding spirituality, growing my connection to the universe and the world around me and the people around me and the women in my life, and deepening my connection with God and trusting in God to open up pathways has allowed me to evolve into a person I never thought I could be. 4 years ago, I was really struggling. My circumstances were very toxic, and my relationship dynamics were bordering, abusive. Not all of my relationships, of course, were that way. Excuse me. But I did find myself regularly attracting and tolerating abusive behavior. And this was because of my unhealed wounding. So what started off as me searching for solutions for myself turned into me being able to share my story, to share my experience, and to inspire other women to do the same. And having the privilege to have gone through traumatic things and come out on the other side a better person for having gone through hardship has really, really made me appreciate myself in a different way. And it's one thing for me to teach you. It's one thing for me to dive deep into these topics like we are today with desire. But it's another thing entirely for me to show you how my energy has shifted, how my perspective has shifted. It's another thing entirely for me to actually take you on this journey with me and show you what's possible, especially within a certain time frame. And I feel quite privileged to do so. And this is all because I allowed my desire to exist. I acknowledged it. Because oftentimes women, we deny our desire. We force ourselves to conform to the identities that other people expect of us. We study certain things or go to college in the first place to please our parents. We will pick majors and fields of study that we believe are appropriate for women to be in, whether it is because of your culture or just your perception of the world and your conditioning. You will choose fields of study that you're not even really personally interested in. And because women are so adaptable, we're actually able to use logic after the fact in order to make it seem like we've made a totally rational decision. But what this ends up doing is it detaches us from our authentic selves, and we can eventually grow resentful after burning out of doing something that we have no passion for. And I would like to save as many women from that reality as possible, because although I did not quite live that myself, having not locked down on a singular career, I have coached many women who locked in on a career that they wound up hating and being completely miserable in, only to find themselves really frustrated being in their mid to late 30s or even older and having to start over. So wherever you are, accept it. Accept that you're receiving this information today because today is when you're ready. Today is when you're open and receptive to it. And from today going forward, you get to lean into your desire. You get to trust that if you have this itch in you, if you have this idea that just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up, it's like a book you can't put down. Lean into that. Trust it. Trust that God has planted that seed in you because He wants you to cultivate it. He wants you to nurture it. I have a fundamental belief that God gives us our purpose, that we are created with specific natural talents that we're meant to use in the world, right? I will never be an athlete. I just won't. But I know that there are stories of athletes who inspire troubled youth to not go into a life of crime and instead invest in an athletic career. I know some people are able to use their athletic aptitude to pay for their college, to get scholarships and so on and so forth, to fund their education for their true passion. And whatever it is, obviously it's not limited to athletics, but this is just my example. I know that I wasn't made for that, but I do see that if that's what you were made to do, if that's where your heart is calling you to do, it's for a reason. And again, I am in the still the early stages of entrepreneurship. Even though I've been doing this for 4 years now, almost 4 years now, I consider it still fairly early. I'm still fairly novice compared to people who have been in the field of entrepreneurship for 5 years, 10 years, 15 plus years. But that's exciting to me. That's exciting to me because already allowing my desire to lead me, allowing God's guidance to lead me, has created so many ripples in my life. My relationship with my parents is much better than it used to be. My relationship with my siblings is becoming more and more healthy and balanced. I'm able to connect with people and make friends in a way that I wasn't before. I'm really coming out of my introverted shell here, even though I am transitioning to being on video less and audio more. I do feel more outwardly confident about placing myself in social situations, and as someone with autism and ADHD, that has historically been a struggle for me. So leaning into my desire has not only paid off in the intrinsic value of showing up as a coach, showing up as a teacher, but it's creating so many positive changes in every aspect of my life. I mean, my physical health is completely transformed. My mental health has improved dramatically, and it can only get better from here. So take today's episode as inspiration. Take it as motivation. Use it as a permission slip to really jump in. And if you already know what your desire is, start today. Because you're never going to feel ready for it. You're never going to perceive yourself as ready for it. But we all begin at the beginner stage and we develop from there, right? We have to learn how to keep our head up before we learn how to crawl. And we have to learn how to crawl before we can balance ourselves on 2 feet and stand without assistance. And then from there, we learn how to walk, and then we learn how to run, and then we learn how to jump. And we develop from there. And our development is a process, it's an evolution, it is a journey, and it's a beautiful one if we let it. So take action. Take one tiny baby step. Do the thing that scares you the least, even if it feels super scary today. And just keep going. You're not going to build your dreams overnight, but you're not supposed to. And when you're pursuing a desire, it's going to feel good every step of the way. There will be hardship, there will be squeezes, this is life. None of us are really that delusional that we're divorced from reality, but it gets to be good for you. It gets to feel good if you want it to feel good, and it gets to be easy if you want it to be easy. So understand that if there is fear, if there is resistance, and if you do run into obstacles, it's only for your benefit. some way, somehow, for some reason, God only knows, you are going through that on purpose. And it is all part of your story. It is all part of how you will go on to inspire others to make bold choices and take leaps of faith and make the decision to commit to pursuing their purpose. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to today's episode. It is a privilege to serve you. I really appreciate you for being part of the Confidence Club Premium membership. I really appreciate you for watching my regular YouTube videos, for inspiring me to show up, for giving me a reason to pursue my passion, a reason to pursue the desires that God has placed on my heart. And I will catch you in the next episode. Take care.